Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. C'est pour moi un grand plaisir de m'adresser à vous ce matin pour vous souhaiter très cordialement la bienvenue à ce webinaire, le Paris des écrivains, organisé par le département de français, l'Université de Madurai Kamaraj, Madurai, Inde. Je voudrais souhaiter une bienvenue spéciale à notre invité d'honneur, M. Alexis Kiteri, architecte des solutions, son réseau cœur, Orange Telecom Paris, qui prendra la parole ce matin. J'accueille chaleureusement MKU French Alumni, les collègues de travail, les collègues et étudiants des autres universités et les étudiants du département de français MKU. Nous sommes heureux de vous accueillir tous. Merci.
Bonjour à vous tous. Un grand privilège d'accueillir de ma part M. Alexis Kiteri et de vous le présenter. Alexis Kiteri, il est architecte des solutions son du réseau cœur Orange Telecom Paris. Is a network architect for real-time probes on core network, Orange Telecom Paris. Monsieur Alexis Kiteri est un de nos anciens étudiants du département de français Madurai Kamaraj University. Il avait fait son MA French en 1977 ou 19. Il a aussi son master en anglais de l'Université de Sorbonne à Paris. L'année dernière, notre département a fêté le Jubilé d'or et il a participé activement dans l'organisation de ce jubilé. Monsieur Alexis est notre French Connect à Paris. Étant ami de longue date de Monsieur Pierre-Augustin, ancien chef du département de français, et ami de notre département, Monsieur Alexis Kiteri, il accueille nos étudiants qui vont en France comme boursière ou comme assistant de langue anglaise. Je suis très contente que M. Alexis Kiteri soit avec nous aujourd'hui. C'est un bon matin. Et nous avons pensé de faire ce webinaire avec M. Kiteri sur le thème le Paris des écrivains. Quoique M. Alexis Kiteri soit une personne de la technologie, il aime la musique, la littérature, le voyage, le service humanitaire. And he works as a volunteer for an association as a tour operator and guide to the visually impaired in Paris. So we thought, let's think out of the box and let's have a non-academician to take us through the Paris of writers. Donc, ce webinaire serait donc une initiation aux étudiants pour mieux situer la littérature française qu'ils apprennent. Vous êtes prêts pour cette belle promenade? Allons-y. À vous la parole, M. Alexis Kiteri. Merci.
Merci Sudha, merci Ranjit, Mr. Ranjit. So je suis vraiment très content d'être là aujourd'hui avec vous parce que ça fait un moment que on ne s'est pas vu parce qu'à cause de Covid et tout cela, on ne pouvait pas voyager. Donc heureusement, il y avait cette possibilité de se rencontrer via YouTube et autres choses et également avec le social media. So, je suis très content de reprendre contact avec le département de Madurai Kamaraj University et notre le 50e anniversaire de Golden Jubilee. It was an occasion for us to meet again and moreover, from that Jubilee, from that 50th anniversary Jubilee, the French department has taken up a new shape and then started working with a more synergy, especially after the Golden Jubilee, and because of that web, how to say that WhatsApp group and all that stuff, and then the French department presented the first webinar a few months back. I mean, because of the COVID and because of the confinement, and they wanted to show how they can teach French online with Madame Shanmugapriya. Yes, Madame Shanmugapriya and Mr. Keba. And they showed, I mean, that was the first webinar, I think. And this is going to be the second webinar. And in between, I have to thank all the alumni, especially the alumni who has become the head of the departments of French department, the French Madurai Kamaraj University, who have taken the initiative pour former, je peux dire, pour former les nouveaux professeurs qui sont en train d'enseigner, les nouveaux étudiants qui sont en train d'étudier. Donc, ils voulaient les préparer pour le NET exam, the National Eligibility Test, and especially Mr. Pierre Augustin and Madame Rajeshwari. They were the previous HOD, head of the departments of the French Madurai Kamaraj French department, and they have taken all the effort to prepare the students for the NET exam. So it is extremely, I mean, it's a very good initiative, and really appreciate your effort. And then I'm so happy to be the part of this department and part of the alumni. So I thank you once again. And before going to start, Madame Sudha, do you want to add anything, or shall I start?
You can start.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ok, voilà. Alors, aujourd'hui, je vais partir sur un petit voyage où tout simplement je peux vous donner un aperçu sur les écrivains français. Voilà, les écrivains français, il y en a tellement. Alors, il y a 2 mois, je crois, Madame Souda, elle m'a appelé pour dire, est-ce qu'on peut présenter quelque chose sur les écrivains français? Alors, on est parti sur l'idée de parler un peu de tous les écrivains. De tous les écrivains, on ne peut pas en parler, bien sûr. Donc, il faut choisir un peu. Donc, le choix était, il y avait un embarras de choix. On ne savait pas qui choisir et quelle époque choisir. Donc, sur le 16e, 17e, 18e, il y en a tellement. En 19e, c'est tellement riche. Et même en 20e, il y en a tellement des auteurs. Non seulement des auteurs connus, mais il y a tellement des auteurs inconnus, peut-être inconnus encore pour les étudiants et pour le public en Inde. Donc, moi, je voudrais parler un peu de tout, et parce que on ne peut pas, certains monuments comme Victor Hugo, Flaubert ou d'autres, on ne peut pas les éviter parce qu'ils sont là, ils sont tellement imprégnés avec la littérature française et avec la société. Donc, on peut pas les ignorer. Mais également, je voulais vous parler également des nouveaux auteurs, par exemple, comme vous voyez ici là, parce que la plupart de ces auteurs vous le connaissez, mais j'aimerais bien parler également ou présenter des nouveaux auteurs de l'époque, c'est-à-dire de contemporary writers. Perhaps, je ne sais pas si vous connaissez ce visage-là. Elle s'appelle Amélie. Elle s'appelle elle ne s'appelle pas. Elle s'appelle Amélie Nothomb. Because, I mean, this is only a pen name. Amélie Nothomb is a pen name, and her real name is Claire Nothomb, Fabienne Claire Nothomb. And she's a very prolific writer. And every year she's present some book or other. One book or two. So she's a very prolific and very, very, very successful. But only thing that she's a Belgian. She's not a French, actually, but she writes in French, and she's very popular in France. And also there are many more authors from other countries, not only from France and from other countries who have come here, who have stayed here, and who has taken France as their the place to live. So, for example, here it is David Diop. He's from Senegal, and he's also, he has become, well known in France because of his famous book, Hommage aux combattants africains de Grande Guerre, about les tirailleurs sénégalais et des anciens colonies françaises. Donc, there are that's because of that, there is a vast list of écrivains français. So before going to that, I just wanted to transpose my own life. I mean, I came to France in 1979. So how I mean, I perceived France, and because as I'm a literary student, I mean, I did literature all my life. So all my life in the sense, I did my MA, and then later I did my MA, one more MA here in Sorbonne. So literature was my, how to say, it's part of my life. So when we came here in France, we started to find out the trace of the writers, but whom all we have read, we have only read, but we have never seen them living in this land. But here in France, there is a habit. Usually les écrivains, les poètes et les grands peintres et les penseurs écrivains, eux, ils se rassemblent, hein. Ils se retrouvent dans les cafés, normalement dans les cafés et dans les bars. Et ils discutaient pendant des heures durant pour refaire le monde dans les nuages. C'est ce qu'on appelle entre nuages et fumée, vapeur d'alcool. Ils échangeaient, débattaient, s'amusaient ou s'affrontaient dans des adresses parisiennes transformées en leur quartier général. Et là, il s'est resté pendant des heures, il est resté pour discuter, parce qu'il y avait tellement des auteurs qui se revenaient et qui se discutaient, donc ils ont eu tellement d'habitude de refaire le monde, parce que vous savez, c'est plus comment les politiciens, ils essaient de passer des lois et des autres choses, mais en fait, ce sont des auteurs, ce sont des penseurs qui changent la société. Par exemple, Rousseau, Voltaire, and all these people, they have changed the society. And exactly in the 20th century, it was Sartre and so many thinkers. The thinkers, they changed the society and brought so many improvement in the society, not only in the society, as well as in the culture and the way of looking at things. Take it as, immigration or racism or homosexuality, whatever it may be. It is those authors, those writers who brought so many changes in the mentality. Okay, so I just wanted to see where are those people were sitting and chatting. They were sitting and chatting in the terrasse, the Bistrot Parisien, and some of those addresses has become so famous. And usually those places are in Saint-Germain-des-Prés, Montmartre, Montparnasse, and not only French authors, there were also some English and American authors, American writers. They have come to Paris and they simply fell in love with Paris. Okay, Hemingway is one of them. Okay, and the places that they have frequented were Café de Flore, which is in Saint-Germain-des-Prés, or it is there is another one, Café de Flore, and let us see. In Café de Flore, it seems that Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir, his companion, they were remaining for more than 8 hours just drinking one coffee, and they will be just discussing for hours together. Somebody says that they were sitting here just to get free heating, and not to pay more. And because of the coffee shop, they allowed them to sit for long hours because it attracted more people into the coffee house. And we can see Albert Camus, Boris Vian, Jacques Prévert. All these people, you know these people, especially those people who are, those friends who are sitting, listening perhaps today, they know all the, literary students especially, they know all the, these names are not, ces noms, ce n'est pas inconnu pour vous, ce n'est pas étranger pour vous. Voilà, c'est ce que je voulais dire. And these people, they were, most of them, especially like Sartre, Camus, they belong to the extensionist progressist. And because of these people, there were so many advancements in the society, as I said before. Especially for women's rights. And there are so many, workers' rights and all these things. And I wanted to say that, I wanted to take you to another coffee house. It is called Deux Magots. And there you can see Boris Vian, Beauvoir, and they were just, here there is a small photo saying that ils refont le monde. And there is another shop, it is called La Closerie de Lila. La Closerie de Lila. And luckily I was really living just 50 meters away from this Closerie de Lila. and it's an extremely posh place. At that time, when I was a student, I was not able to go to that restaurant, of course, because it has become a very posh restaurant now. And beyond that, beyond La Closerie de Lila, there were other places like Le Dôme, La Rotonde, La Select, La Coupole, tout situé sur le boulevard de Montparnasse. Okay, Montparnasse is also my area. Boulevard Montparnasse, as well as Saint-Michel was my area. I do remember when I came to France in the beginning, I was going around with my friend Idriss Jacob, and these places we know par cœur. On connaissait par cœur tous ces endroits-là. And these people, especially those who have come from, strangers who have come to Paris, they simply love Paris, and they fall in love with Paris. And you can see in one of the works of Hemingway, Paris est une fête. It is a translation. It's a movable feast. C'est un récit autobiographique de Ernest Hemingway, how he lived with his wife, Harley Richardson. And they say that they were just living with love and wine. Okay. And he was moving around. I mean, his area, I would say his area is in the 5th arrondissement. It's Rue Mouffetard, Rue Notre-Dame, Notre-Dame des Champs, le café-restaurant et le bouquiniste. I can go like that. There are these things are so popular and so, well known for the literature lovers, especially literature lovers. And I was one among them, of course. And now what has happened to all those places? Because now the authors, they don't come to the coffee shop and discuss. They go to the television platforms, So what has become these places now? Véritable institution de Saint-Germain-des-Prés. Et là-bas, on s'y installe pour être vu. Like me, we were sitting there. I mean, last year, not last year, in 2019, my professor, Dr. Krishnamurthy, when he came to for the book fair, but there was a book fair in France, in Paris. So he came here and he gave me 6 hours to spend with him. So we went to the book fair, Boulevard Saint-Michel, and all these places, Magot, de Magot. All these places, and then we have spent the time. So I cannot just going on telling about these places, but we have to go into the topic and speak about the authors. When it comes to the authors, there are so many authors. I don't know whom to choose and whom not to choose, because the people who have been, the authors who have chosen Paris as their living place, there are so many. Like Apollinaire, Boris Vian, Charles Baudelaire, Émile, Zola, Victor Hugo, Honoré de Balzac, Molière, Jean-Paul Sartre, Simone de Beauvoir, of course, and tant d'autres écrivains qui ont fait de Paris leur lieu de vie et d'écriture. Voilà. Donc, I thought in the beginning, that I can go like this. Apollinaire, Boris Vian, Charles Baudelaire. But soon I said that it is not possible for me to finish all these things in 40 minutes or in 1 hour. So luckily, I mean, I would say that Sudha madam, she called me, said that your webinar is going to be on a Friday and not on a weekend. And it's going to be a webinar for the students. Instead of going to the class, I'm going to present the webinar for them. I said, well and good. It falls. Ça tombe bien. Donc j'ai changé la stratégie et je suis parti pour faire une école buissonnière de Paris avec vous, avec les étudiants qui sont là dans leur classroom. So I said that I'm going to go take them to bunk the class and take around to Paris just to make them visit Paris in 1 hour if possible. Au nez et la barbe de vos professeurs. Voilà. On y va. So just to give it a presentation, of course, you know how Paris is. The Paris is like a potato, and then there are so many places that can be visited. In the beginning, I said that we can just go for monuments. Then I said, no, you know all very well, because because of television, books, and so many other things, and you have already have visited all these things. So I said that we can go by quartier, because like in every place there is a quartier. And by quartier, if you go, it will take a long time. So I said, I'll go by arrondissement. Arrondissement par arrondissement, so that I can finish the story in 20 minutes. It's not in with the 20 arrondissement. 20 arrondissement, I can go with the 20 different stories and 20 different authors. Why we have to know the authors? Just I wanted to say, but when you live in a country, and if you opt to live in that country, of course, you have to know a little bit more about the country. When you learn the language, it opens up to a civilization. When you approach the civilization and you opt to live in that country, you have to know a little bit more about the people and the country and the places where you live. Wherever it may be, perhaps it may be in France or in some other country. If you live in that country, if you opt to live in that country, you have to know more about the culture. So what I'm going to do is not a literary approach of Paris, but a cultural approach, okay? How I'm going to do is just to make you take your round like this from the premier arrondissement, deuxième jusqu'à la 20e arrondissement. I said that I can do it in 40 minutes. I think it's going to be a bit difficult, and it's going to be, perhaps it may take 1 hour, okay? 3 minutes for each arrondissement, like that, okay? On y va? Voilà. Just to go around Paris, it is very simple. It is very, very simple. All you have to know is where is north, where is south, where is east, and where is north. Where is south, west, sorry. North, south, east, west. And here in Paris, the queen of Paris is le fleuve Seine, river Seine. River Seine is the repère. Ça, c'est le repère pour tout le monde. Parce que la source de fleuve qui sera le point de départ pour tout Paris. Because River Seine is running, it's taking its source somewhere near Dijon, and then it is coming like this, and then it's going towards the Atlantic Sea. Well, so since the River Seine is running east to west, all the numbers in Paris, the street numbers, will be starting with the River Seine. The number 1 will be here, number 1 left, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. And here, it will be the same thing. It will follow the flow of the Seine. And the numbers, the vertical and the parallel, perpendicular streets, the number will be starting from here, from 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So, Seine is the repère in Paris. I think you understood. East, west, north, south. And the numbering will be according to the flow of the river. And one more thing, rive droite, rive gauche. Voilà. Rive droite, rive gauche. And these are ce sont des 6 repères pour se promener à Paris. And this type of numbering has been adopted in many cities in France, and perhaps in many other countries also. And this is the same thing that they adapted also in Pondicherry, just for a clin d'œil. On y va. So, excuse me. So, I'm going to start with the décidément. I'm going to start with the premier arrondissement. So, I just wanted to give you a small instruction, because when I say that premier, for each, in my slide, I have highlighted certain words just so that you can read it. At the same time, I wanted to say that if I put it highlighted near the premier arrondissement, if I put Pont des Arts, I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk about this book. I'm going to talk about the place. Okay. Anyhow, I don't know whether you know this author, Claude Roy. He's a Parisian, completely Parisian. He's a journalist as well as an author, as a writer. And he has written a book called Pont des Arts. I mean, Pont des Arts is one of the small, very slim, sleek. I would say it's a sleek bridge in Paris. It is not meant for traffic, vehicles. It's only for pedestrians. And what to say? And this, La Traversée des Ponts de Roi is a love story. It's a love story. And the author is lost his loved one, is Louise. She disappeared, and then she never came back. And one day, one summer afternoon, he was just standing around, in that bridge, and then thinking of her. And suddenly she appears and talks to her and touches his hand. Okay? And then suddenly you don't know whether it is true or not, whether it is real or not. So this is a small love story. And it's a very short story. If you want, you can read it. But now I'm just talking about the Pont des Arts. Pont des Arts, it is one of the very sleek bridges, as I said. I don't know whether Claude Roy has influenced the nowadays lovers, but it seems, now all the lovers from all over the world, they come and put their love lock on that bridge. And it has become a very big problem for the authority, for the town authority. And they have to remove all the locks every 2 months because, it is becoming too heavy for the bridge. And then even there were accidents, some of this, small posts, they got broken and then fell into the River Seine. So just it's a clin d'œil about the premier arrondissement. If you know that this Pont des Arts, it's here, this is the River Seine, and it is after the Louis, the main island where it is Notre Dame. Let us go to the second arrondissement. And the second arrondissement, and the book I chosen for second arrondissement is of Catherine Paysan, Le Clown de la Rue Montorgueil. La Catherine Paysan is just a pen name of Annie Roulette, and then she's talking about a very poor man. Especially when you come to Paris, you would have seen, I don't know whether those who have visited Paris, from here and there, you can see some clochards. The clochards just sitting, and then they were shouting, they were drinking, And those people are not really mendicants. They are not, they don't want your money. They got fed up with life, and they have chosen that kind of a life of tramp. Okay. Here in this Clown de la Rue de Montorgueil, she's talking about a clown. It's a clown. Sa vie de comédienne de clown était complètement ratée. C'est un prisonnier de guerre. Et il est un époux et des pères durement éprouvés dans sa vie, d'affectement dans ses afflictions. He lost all his love. And then even they say that in the story it comes that even his best friend has failed him. And then, so perhaps it has become because of that. And the commentator of this book say that it is a livre tendre et cruel. And Catherine Paysan, she wants to impose to the writers, to the lecteurs, pour les lecteurs, imposer la vérité aux lecteurs, de l'entraîner avec elle dans cet univers des personnages, because she's very sensitive, a sensitive woman, because she has taken up a job of a teacher, and then teacher in the, underprivileged quartier, like Courneuve. So she's a teacher who had some penchant vers ces personnes esselées et souffrant à l'intérieur. Donc, elle voulait donner un peu de visibilité pour ces personnes-là. Donc, elle a écrit Le Clown de la Rue de Montorgueil. Just, I wanted to give a clin d'œil sur le deuxième arrondissement, sur la rue de Montorgueil. As I said, I wanted to make it a little bit recreative and not just talk about the teachers, I mean, the authors as well as the book. So I wanted to make it a little bit recreative also. So I wanted to take you to the Rue Montorgueil. Rue Montorgueil is one of the important, I mean, you know, it's a very vivid. It's a very vivid. C'est bien vivant. C'est une rue bien vivant. And I just wanted to give you a tableau de Claude Monet about, I mean, on the Rue de Montorgueil. It was, I mean, it's a painting of when there was the closure of the, Universal Exhibition in 1878, the first centenary of the French Revolution, right? And Montorgueil is also known for another fact. That's why I brought it here. It was Bruno Lenoir, and Jean Didot. Two people got burned in that place, and they were burned for the reason because they were homosexuals, and luckily it was the last punishment. You know, that was the last condamnation. C'était la dernière condamnation des homosexuels qui était fait à Paris dans les années 1750. And you can see that place is very much, I just wanted to give a small story. Bruno Lenoir they were just two friends. One was a boucher and another one was a cordonnier. They were just walking hand in hand in the street late in the night, and a policeman caught them and they accused them that they were homosexuals. And they were, very soon the law was against them and the church was against them, and they got burned very quickly. But the mentality has evolved, luckily. And this place, especially the second arrondissement, deuxième arrondissement, is very much invested, taken up by the gay community and the activist LGBT community, LGBT activists. Well, it's very active in that deuxième arrondissement. You can see everywhere that multicolor, les drapeaux multicolores. Let us go to the troisième arrondissement. It is a very interesting thing because I chosen Hélène Milleron. Hélène Milleron, she born in Versailles. Okay, it's in 1945, and then she's still alive, of course. And some of her books are very interesting because I chosen it because she's a feminist, I would say. And her books, the first book, Le Quartier du Temple, it is about Fanny. C'est une jeune femme indocile aux grands yeux noirs. Ils se croisent, Maxime et Fanny, ils se croisent dans le quartier du Temple. It was, at that time, Paris was just got rebuilt by Napoleon III and the engineer Haussmann. Everywhere there were works, and in that havoc they are meeting in Quartier du Temple, and the story goes like that. And she got, even Fanny tente d'échapper à mariage forcé. And they were trying to, Hélène Milleron, she's trying to depict the picture of these lovers during the Second Empire, that is during the Napoleon III's period. Okay, and here I've highlighted Quartier du Temple. I'll come again on Quartier du Temple later. And so Milleron is so passionate. I just wanted to give you a second book of Hélène Milleron. It is Modern Solitude, Moderne Solitude, pardon. She's Carmen. Carmen is she's coming from a very modest family. Her parents were communist activists, and they were, there's a very modest family and with a modest income and all the stuff, and they are living in a very small house. And Carmen, thanks to his brother, I won't say thanks to his brother, via son frère, l'amitié she comes to know about Damien. Damien is a bourgeois, and when she know Damien, she wanted to become rich and want to become a bourgeois herself, and then she become very ambitious, individualist, and then even she goes to and finish her HEC, that Haute École de Commerce, and she become very rich. But finally, she was rejected by the communists, les cocos, they call it coco, and even by the bourgeois. She got rejected by both the society. And it's something interesting. So if you have time and if you can get hold of this book, you can read it. I said that I want to talk about this Quartier du Temple. Quartier du Temple, it's a very old place in Paris. And why it is called Temple? Because the Ordre du Temple was there in Paris, in the 3e arrondissement. Ordre du Temple is an order. I mean, I would say it is the soldiers. I would say they are the soldiers. They are knights, and they were protecting, especially the Christian lands, and they were protecting the pilgrims who are going to Jerusalem, and their main purpose is to protect Christianity and to fight the Ottomans, the Muslim Ottomans. Okay, just to give it in a small gist. And these people, les Templiers, has become so rich, slowly they become so rich. And Philippe le Bel, I think, the king, really got jealous of this, of their riches, the richness that they have accumulated, the les Templiers. And somehow he found some reason with the Pope, and they accused him, and they imprisoned all the Templiers, and they burned them. And since then, it has become a dungeon, and the temple has become a dungeon, and the dungeon has become a prison later. And it's where Louis XVI and the Marie Antoinette have been imprisoned, because there were no more Bastille. You can connect that. The Bastille was destroyed. Okay, so there is no Bastille, and the Marie Antoinette and the Louis XVI were put imprisoned here, and then later they got beheaded. Of course, when Napoleon came to power, he said that this symbol, the symbol has to be destroyed, and it's no more. That the Temple is no more, but the quartier is called Quartier du Temple. I think you are following me. Just to say a few words about the Quartier du Temple, it was an aristocratic area, and later it has got abandonné ensuite par les élites, and it's become a very shabby place. But luckily, during the construction or the reconstruction of Paris, some of the landmarks have survived. And now this quartier is becoming more and more gentrified, and they are trying to keep some old structures. But anyhow, gentrification cannot be avoided, and they call it, it's becoming boboisation. It is becoming bobo, the quartier bobo. They say called voir la boboisation, because they say before they used to call BCBG bon chic et bon genre, mais maintenant they say bobo, bourgeois bohème. Bourgeois bohème is a bobo. Nowadays they call them bobo. This become that troisième arrondissement and many more has become really bobo. And now we are moving to the 4th arrondissement. When I say 4th arrondissement, there are two monuments, Victor Hugo and Notre Dame. These two monuments cannot be avoided, of course. Here, I'm not going to talk about Notre Dame de Paris, the book. Of course, you know very well why Notre Dame de Paris was written, because Victor Hugo has decided to rebuild the Notre Dame de Paris, because during the Revolution period, Notre Dame de Paris had been saccagé, détruit, and many of the statues that resemble kings and queens has been brought down and then literally beheaded. Okay, even the statues got beheaded, and they was lying all over there. And Victor Hugo really felt so bad, and so he absolutely wanted to rebuild Notre Dame de Paris, and then he wrote Notre Dame de Paris, and then to collect money and make it as a drama and make it collect money. Of course, he had a very good plan, and then luckily the Notre Dame de Paris got rebuilt because of the initiative of Victor Hugo. Now I'm going to talk about Victor Hugo, the other face of Victor Hugo. Victor Hugo, you know, there is a monument, is an untireable worker. He has touched all sorts of expression of literature, architecture, and everything. Even he wanted to give some ideas to Viollet-le-Duc how to construct, how to rebuild Notre Dame de Paris. And he also entered politics, of course. And he entered politics while Napoleon III, he was an emperor, of course, he was an emperor, the Second Empire. And he has decided to, of course, there was a pressure from the people, and then he wanted to become the president, elected president. So at that time, Victor Hugo comes into the picture, and they become friends. And even they are doing the campagne. Ils ont cette campagne électorale. Ils font les campagnes électorales ensemble. He's doing that campaign. Victor Hugo with his son Charles and Victor. Charles and Victor, and then somehow everything is going on well, and he was dreaming of becoming the education minister. Il brigue le ministère de l'instruction publique. At that time, it was called instruction publique. And but somehow Napoleon III, he refuses him that post and give it to a count. It gives it to Count Alfred de Falloux, who is more inclined to open up the education to the clergy. But Victor Hugo, défenseur d'une école publique, école laïque, est furieux. He becomes the enemy number one of Napoleon III, and the things are getting so bad, and he was requested to leave the country, and he got exiled, and he went to Guernesey, and then there he dies, and then when he comes back, his body comes back to France. Was a national welcome. There was a national honor was given to Victor Hugo, and he entered into Panthéon. Of course, you know Panthéon. I'll come in the next arrondissement. What is Panthéon? Let us go to the 5e arrondissement. 5e arrondissement, I've taken Père Goriot. Is another monument of the naturalist, that writer. Of course, Père Goriot, many of you would have read, and Père Goriot is, inevitable book for the literature students. So I don't know whether I have to go into the book. Okay, I'll avoid. But anyhow, just to give a small gist, Père Goriot is, he sacrifices his whole life for these two daughters, and these two daughters, they never, Ingrat. He was a merchant of vermicelle, but he quitted the job just to give, give a different vision to the public, to the bourgeois, and then he marries his two daughters to the bourgeois society, but all his sacrifice went in vain, and even when he died, those two daughters never came back. Okay, if you have never read this book, if you can go and I've given some link to watch the podcast, YouTube, and resume of the book. Now I wanted to just see that Rue Neuve Sainte-Geneviève, because that the place where he lives at the last years was in the Rue Sainte-Geneviève, in a small residence. So I just wanted to take you to the Rue Sainte-Geneviève. Rue Neuve Sainte-Geneviève. Today, Rue Neuve Sainte-Geneviève. Today, Rue Sainte-Geneviève doesn't exist. The name of the Rue Neuve Sainte-Geneviève got renamed Rue Tournefort. Okay, even during the revolution, you can see they chipped off the saint because they don't want any saints. So even they chipped off the saint. Not only the saint, they taken up Sainte-Geneviève. Okay, the building that you see, this is the 5th arrondissement. I'm not showing the Sorbonne, but just one part of the fifth arrondissement. And this is the Sainte Geneviève Church. Why Sainte Geneviève? Sainte Geneviève is the patron of Paris. And during the revolution period, of course, the people who are revolutionists, who are against the church, against the clergy, they wanted to erase all these traces of the religion and the clergy. So they taken up, but luckily they didn't destroy the building, the church, and they taken up the Sainte Geneviève Church and changed it to Panthéon. And Panthéon is made to it is to honor great people who served France, especially big authors, scientists like Pierre Curie and Marie Curie, and so many others, and of course Victor Hugo. And I mean, as I said, as the mentality evolved, the first African writer who entered into Panthéon was Alexandre Dumas. Yeah, he was of African origin, so he was the first African who entered into the Panthéon. And of course, the 5e arrondissement also is one of the ancient place. I mean, ancient that existed right from the Roman period. And here, where we have that Quartier Latin, of course, Quartier Latin, there is no need to give any explanation for Quartier Latin because it was the place where the schools have started in Latin, so it is called Quartier Latin. And we call it, the pet name for the Boulevard Saint-Michel is Boulmiche. Now we shall go for the 6th arrondissement. 6th arrondissement, I have taken Joris Karl Huysmans. His origin, I mean, is Dutch origin, néerlandais, et d'une mère française. He's also a writer, romancier, novelist, and art critic. And il a, défenseur du naturalisme à ses débuts, bien sûr. So I will come back. I mean, you could have seen in all my slides, most of my slides I have given some hint so that you can go and read the more deep on the book or the author or the places. Okay, let us come back to the Joris Karl Huysmans. So, I mean, he was he is very much inclined towards occultism, occult practices, astrology, spiritism, and magie noire. Okay. Later in the year, it was in the beginning. Later, he's become a fervent Christian and has changed completely his vision. Well, I'm not going to go more deep in Huysmans because he has written that book Là-bas, something, là-bas. It is just to say something, fishy. Là-bas, something is going on there, like something like that. So I've taken to take you to the Saint-Sulpice because Saint-Sulpice is a church. It is a church in the 6th arrondissement. It has got all this kind of, unsaid stories on Saint-Sulpice, because in Saint-Sulpice you can see certain things which is some words. I mean, they are very frank, but they've interpreted as something fishy. Something fishy is going on because they've got zodiac signs, and there is some something to picturize with the light, and they are playing with the light and shade and all this stuff. But actually, and moreover, when the film Da Vinci Code came in 2003, it had added up more this kind of complotist, theory de complot, and it has become very much attracted by the tourists, and the tourists started visiting this Saint-Sulpice because of Da Vinci Code. Actually, in Da Vinci Code, they say that there was a secret society. Actually, there was a secret society that existed, and they thought that the Merovingians will come to power, they'll take up the power, and that association got dissolved and condemned by the French government. But somehow the director of Da Vinci Code inspired from that, and then he cooked up a story. And actually, in Saint-Sulpice, there is no such mystery. There is on the window of there are two holes. They call it gnomon. Gnomon is just what they say in Greek. Gnomon is one that knows or examines, or just a sundial. Okay, they put two holes, just to pass out the light. When the summer solstice sun light passes, it will fall on a place, and when it is in winter solstice, it will go fall on another place. And in the meantime, the light will be moving from here just to show the timing, and there were some zodiac signs were put, and so it has become a mystery. Actually, it was just, they say, it's one of the stories. I won't say that this is the truth, but it seems Jean-Baptiste Longuet, he was the one who built this gnomon in Saint-Sulpice, just to show where, il wants to give the bell ringer le temps astronomique afin de faire sonner les cloches au moment le plus opportun dans la journée. Voilà. This is one of the stories. He just wanted to give the bell ringer when to ring the bell. But it has become, they cooked up all the stories, and there are other stories also why the TSP is inverted. Actually, CSP is just to mean Saint Petrus, Saint Peter. Saint Peter got, when he got condemned by the Romans, they wanted to crucify him, and he wanted to not to get crucified like Jesus, and he wanted to put them upside down. So SP is upside down in Saint-Sulpice. So all these stories has become all this suspicious. That's why I just connected with the story of Joris Karl Huysmans. It's just shortcut that I made to make you to tell you a story. Well, let us go to 7th arrondissement. 7th arrondissement, it is called, I have chosen the book Quai d'Orsay. Quai d'Orsay of Christophe Blanc. He's not born in Paris, but il est né à Argenteuil. Argenteuil is c'est un banlieue parisienne. Banlieue is at the outskirt of Paris. And he has written this book, Quai d'Orsay. It is not a real book. It's a bande dessinée. Bande dessinée is a comic strip. It's a comic strip talking about incident. Of course, what's about this incident. I'm going to say that. Of course, have to say that Quai d'Orsay is the ministry of the Affaires étrangères. It is the foreign affairs. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is called Quai d'Orsay. Now there is a pet name for this Affaires étrangères is Quai d'Orsay because it's on the Orsay road quay. It's on the quay on the bank, on the river bank of Seine, where there is a Quai d'Orsay and Musée d'Orsay and all this stuff. Okay, let us go to the story. I just wanted to go. The story is more interesting. And the Quai d'Orsay, this bande dessinée, it is on Guerre d'Irak. When George W. Bush, of course, after the incident of destruction of the Twin Towers in U.S. in New York, George W. Bush, accused Iraq as the axis of evil, and then his Secretary of Foreign Secretary, Collins Powell, he came to the ONU. He came, and then he was trying to prove to the other countries that Iraq is having weapons of mass destruction, all this stuff. These things that . And at that time, at that time, our Minister des Affaires étrangères, c'était Mr. Villepin, Dominique de Villepin. He was the minister at the time. And then he came to UNO and then he defended, saying that what all that America is saying is nonsense. And he not only said that, but of course he couldn't say that in the UNO. He said that we cannot attack the extremists because they'll give them parce qu'il donnera aux terroristes une légitimité, aveuglément au fanatisme. D'accord? Okay? It will legitimize the fanatics they will become the victims and then so they legitimize their attack towards the other countries, towards the countries that they don't like and all this. So he said that the problème du terrorisme doit être résolu avec intelligence et non avec brutalité. So I've chosen this book for seventh arrondissement because it's something very significant in my point of view. And the 8th arrondissement about Champs-Élysées, of course. The name of the book is 202 Champs-Élysées. It is written by José María de Echadaquerios. Of course, from the name itself, you can say that he is not a French origin. Of course, he's a diplomat, Portuguese, who lived in Paris, and then he wrote this book in French. Okay, and he talks about big aristocrat who was aristocrat. He's the owner of Hotel Particulier, and he's very fond of all the modern gadgets. Like at that time, he wrote that in the 19th century, telegraph, telephone, gramophone, phonograph, and all this stuff. He loved all those things. But this book, Echadaquerios, he's talking about, if you go on, giving too much of importance to this kind of modern equipments, and especially only the rich is going to get profited by all these things. But even now today, that with all the GAFA and all the stuff, that the rich is getting accumulated in one area, especially in the qu'est-ce qu'on dit là, des outils modernes, and especially where the consumption goes, the consommation, pardon. It's the society of the consommation. It is becoming very cruel, and the rich is going to one part of the country and one part of the world. So ça c'est une dénonciation prophétique des dangers des progrès d'une science mise au service des puissants et du profit. And I wanted to give a small hint about José María de Echadaquerios. And Echadaquerios is considered as a Zola Portuguese. Why Zola Portuguese? Because he's a very a realist, that he wanted to a realistic view of things, and then he's a lover of Flaubert, and then even he adapted his style. And Zola used to say that Zola a écrit son travail comme étant meilleur que celui de Flaubert lui-même. Okay, it is just anyhow. I'm not going to go more deep into Champs-Élysées. It is a well-known place. It is the French. They are very proud about the Champs-Élysées. This is le boulevard, le plus beau, boulevard du monde. Hein? Of course. It is their view, and they are proud to be. Let us go to the 9th arrondissement. On the 9th arrondissement, I've taken this 28 Boulevard des Capucines. Is the name of the book. It was written by David McNeill. David McNeill. I pronounce it in English way. David McNeill is just I wanted to say he's the son of Marc Chagall, fils de Marc Chagall, and he's a lyricist, interpret, and author and writer. And this story is a very small story, and about as is a parolier and chanteur, he comes to 28 Boulevard des Capucines. 28 Boulevard des Capucines is nothing but Olympia. It's a music hall, and where before for each song, he invite one of his friends and then just introduce them to the public. And this is a short story. And this lyricist, David McNabb, is an author-compositor, of course, chanté, and then his songs were sung by Yves Montand. Perhaps these names are very familiar to you. Yves Montand, Julien Leclerc, Alain Souchon. They are the French singers, well-known French singers. Yves Montand is no more. Julien Clerc and Alain Souchon, they are still alive and they are still continuing to release their albums. And about McNeil, some of his albums are Lettres à Mademoiselle Blumfeld, Tous les bars de Zanzibar, et it's a funny title, Si je ne suis pas revenu dans 30 ans, prévenez mon ambassade. Okay, voilà. As I said, that 28 Boulevard de Capucine is nothing but Olympia. It is that famous music hall. And this area, this 9th arrondissement area, it is on the boulevard, the Grand Boulevard, is known for his opera. Of course, the opera was there. And there was also another old opera, which is called Opera de Vaudeville, sorry. It was Opera de Vaudeville. It was Théâtre de Vaudeville. It was there in the 19th century. But there was a fire incident and got burnt, and it was sitting like that for a very long time. And now cinema theater, Gomo, has become replaced it. And it's a very lovely area to walk around, to go for a bar and spend some time. Let us go to the 10th arrondissement. So 10th arrondissement, 7th, 8th are very rich arrondissement, and 10th arrondissement a little bit, it is no more. Right? It was a little bit underprivileged, and it was remaining like that for a very long time. And the book I chose for 10th arrondissement is Albert Simonin. Albert Simonin is almost a contemporary, and that he died only in the 1980. He's also a scenarist. He wrote, for the cinema and for the lyricist. He was a lyricist also. He is very much interested in the roman policier. And roman policier illustrant. This is something important because I wanted to mention about that. He's an author de roman policier illustrant l'usage de l'argot dans le milieu. Each milieu has got their own argot, and they are so they call him. He's also a creator, fondateur du roman des truands à la française. Okay, the truands, is the thieves. Of course, I'm not going too deep into the book. Perhaps I'll go more in the. Okay, I just wanted to. L'enchanteur de ce livre, extrême plaisir qu'on le prend le relire peut-être, vient de ce qu'il vous rend de Paris, alors comme un vieux film de Frères Lumière. Frères Lumière is that, les cinémas muets, cinéma muet, mais le film qui serait devenu parlant, chantant, odorant. Let us go and see what's happening in the 10e arrondissement. 10e arrondissement est un quartier émergent, and then it's also got a long canal of Saint-Martin, and there is also les restaurants indiens, the Passage Brady, and c'est un arrondissement qui comprend également les gares du Nord et the Gare de l'Est. And for many Indians who are living here, Gare du Nord is a place where they can go and get all type of Indian stuff and Indian restaurants. And I don't want to stop only with the cliché of Indian restaurants for the 10th arrondissement. I know that it is it's a very lively arrondissement. It was a little bit shabby in the 80s. Now it has become a very nice area if you want to go for a restaurant and all the stuff that you can go here. Not only that, it's in également le Canal Saint-Martin. It is crossing in that 10th arrondissement, especially mostly in the 10th arrondissement, a little bit in the 11th. And I want to speak a little bit of the Canal Saint-Martin. Canal Saint-Martin, it is not for any, just to, for a tourist attraction. Actually, when Napoleon came to power, the water facility in Paris was so bad. So he wanted to bring water from some 100 kilometers from east of Paris. He dug Canal de l'Ourcq, and then brought the water to Paris, and then he created the Canal de Saint-Martin. And actually, it was just to bring drinking water to Paris. And later, with the help of other engineers, they wanted to make it a little bit bigger so that can use also for navigational purposes. And that's how navigation, from Atlantic Sea, you can go up to Canal Ourcq and so many other places because of these canals, par ces canaux en France et à Paris. Now, the canal is mostly used for, very small, embarcations, for small transportation. They cannot, some small boats are still going and moving some goods from one place to another. And depuis des années 1990, les abords du canal situés dans l'agglomération parisienne sont réhabilités et aménagés pour faire un axe vert ouvert aux activités de loisirs telles que cyclotourisme ou de randonnée pédestre. Voilà. It is a very nice area to move, and then now it is becoming very posh. It is not very far from Place de la République. Well, 11e arrondissement chosen Faubourg Saint-Antoine. It is Les Dames du Faubourg, Les Dames by Jean Duot. He died very recently. In the beginning, he was like he's a teacher. He was a teacher in, and he did his studies in Sorbonne. He became a journalist, and later suddenly he got a click and he wanted to write some book, and then it clicked and he got a Prix de Roland de Jouvenel in '82, and he's become famous. And he wanted to trace the history of Paris from Louis XI. From the Louis XI, and it's I think it's in 3 volumes, and it has become such a since it's retracing the history of France, and it has become a very big success, and he sold more than 1 million copies. So let us go and see what's happening in Faubourg Saint-Antoine. In Faubourg Saint-Antoine, I just wanted to make it short. The Faubourg Saint-Antoine, as I said, that it is it's a very, c'est un, how to say, populaire. C'était un endroit populaire because it is almost touching the suburbs. It's also touching the suburbs, Ménilmontant, Montreuil, and all that stuff. And in those places, there were always some industries. There was an industry. It is called manufacture de papier peint, wallpaper industry, and that industry. Suddenly, for some reason, le patron, il a décidé de diminuer le salaire for some reasons. Il propose une diminution de salaire des employés des manufactures, and of course, it was that measure has become very, very très unpopular. So naturally, there were some strikes and all the stuff, and finally, that industry, that manufacture, that got burnt. That manufacture fut mise à sac et incendiée, unfortunately, and it has become a very big affair. And during that, affront sur l'affront, environ 300 morts qui furent enfouis. You know, there were 300 dead, and they were buried in the catacomb. And there were so many people got wounded. And it was one of the, I would say that it was one of the incidents that triggered the revolution of the French Revolution. I mean, that the 14 Juillet, the Bastille Day. And very soon, you know, I mean, this incident took place in 28 Avril, 1789. And very soon, Bastille got destroyed, and then they went to go and arrest the king and the queen in Versailles. 12e arrondissement, I've taken a small story, and it's a very short story. And the name of the story is Quai de la Râpée, written by Michel Gastine. And he was a lawyer. He was a doctor. He was a doctor in the for les tribunaux, for the court, and he's also a médecin légiste, forensic doctor. He was a forensic doctor, and then of course his story is very forensic, like all the lifelong. I mean, a man and a woman, they cannot meet. Finally, they meet in the morgue. Un homme et une femme refroidis se retrouvent à la morgue. Of course, it's not a very funny story, but anyhow, at least they have met in the morgue. Of course, I said, I mean, for fun purpose, I said that c'est un très bon sujet pour une dissertation. Sorry, pas dissertation, that is a spelling mistake. Dissertation. Quel est le bonheur? Of course, you can think about that and write it. And let us see what is near Quai de Râpée. Quai de Râpée is a place, it's near Gare de Lyon. It's a very small, narrow strip of land. And it's touching Gare de Lyon. Of course, I love Gare de Lyon. It's part of my life, moving around. And I put a picture of the Gare de Lyon of the 19th century. And it is still intact. It's the same. It has not changed. Only thing, this place is becoming a parking land. And we cannot go like this. In the 19th century, when the chemin de fer, chemin de fer a été inventé, c'était construit par les Anglais, construit par les Anglais. That's why the French railways is still there, keeping left, not like a French sens de circulation. They are keeping left and keeping left. And all the trains in France, they still follow the same system like in England, And this place, I love this place, and especially if you have the chance or opportunity to go and have a dinner here in the upstairs. It was built during the PLM period, Pullman, and later it has become a PLM. PLM is one of the compagnie de chemin de fer. It was built during the 19th century. And I want to take you a little bit away from this Quai de Râpée in the 12th arrondissement. When next time, and if you come to Paris, you have to absolutely visit le Palais de Porte de Dorée. It was construit à l'occasion des expositions coloniales internationales in 1931. It's absolutely fantastic. The architecture is fantastic. But no one want to touch that institution easily because immigration, colonization has become a word of taboo. But because at that period, in 1931, they thought that colonization is something great, just they get the power on so many other countries. But today, in today's context, immigration and all colonization has become a little bit, sticky. If the subject is a little bit become a little bit sticky. It's a fantastic place you have to visit. And for the 13th arrondissement, I don't want to introduce, I just for a change, I don't want to introduce a book, but a living thing, La Bièvre. I don't know how many people they know about the La Bièvre. Bièvre, if I say how many rivers are passing through Paris, you would say only River Seine. No, there are two rivers are crossing Paris. One is River Seine, of course, and the other one is La Bièvre. It's an affluent. It's an affluent of River Seine. It is taking its sources in the Saint-Quentin-Yvelines. It's in the department of 78, and is running all through the south of Paris, and then joining through getting mingled into River Seine in the 13th arrondissement. Of course, I wanted to take a little bit during the Neolithic period. Actually, La Bièvre was running all over Paris and joining somewhere Seine, somewhere here in the west of Paris. But somehow, due to some landslide or something, River Seine has taken up the bed, the Bièvre's bed, and then joined in the 13th arrondissement. And this part of the got dried up. Okay, this is in the Neolithic period, not today. But what happened to this Bièvre? Is it still running? In 19th century, it was still running, of course, and it was open. They can see, they can walk around, and if you want to know more about that, I've given some link here. And what happened to the river after that? It has become, people started using that water. Especially Les Tanneurs, who was working on the leather, Les Tanneurs, and the paint, and those who were waiting for the paint and clothes and all the stuff. All those métier d'art was working with the leather. They started using the water of La Bièvre, and it's become very, very dirty and polluted, and it has become a nuisance for the Parisians. And what happened during the rebuilding of Paris in the 19th century by Haussmann, it has got, ils ont, qu'est-ce qu'on dit là? Ils ont couvert La Bièvre, and then it's still running, but it's underneath. It is not visible anymore. For the 14th arrondissement, j'ai choisi Jean-Michel Guénassia. C'est un écrivain français. He was born in Algeria, of course. Just I wanted to give, there are people also who come from other countries. They have, they have part and parcel of France. And he has written a book on students. That's why the reason for that I chose this book. It is these students, Igor and Leonid, they are Sacha, Imere. From the name itself, they say that you can find out they are not of French origin, but they are from Russians. Especially they came out, they ran out of the URSS, that communist URSS. Not only from URSS and from the Eastern Bloc, Poland and all these places. There were so many students at the time who came, who sought asylum in Paris, in France, and they become students and they stayed here and they wrote so many other books. And some of them, and one among them was Jean-Michel Guénassia. And it's talking about the students who come and discuss about their country, even they have left their country, their loved ones, their family, and all this stuff. At times they have got that rancune de la guerre. Est-ce que ce sont des poltrons? They have left their country of fear without being any patriotism. They have left their country and they were questioning all these things. Like Sartre and other people they did, and they wanted to give another vision to their life, not only to their life and to the country. And there were so many disputes, and there were among the students, there were discussions, there were hot discussions among the students. And the story goes about that, and how they meet and how they discuss about, I mean, just I wanted to give a story on students in the beginning of I mean, especially the students who have come from other countries. And 14th arrondissement is also is known for, I would say that it's for the, I mean, it's a students' quartier, and it has got some connection because Quartier Latin, it is not very far. Quartier Latin is it's in the 5e arrondissement. It is connected by Boulevard Saint-Michel, and is d'Enfer Rochereau. It is coming all down towards, I think I missed something. I missed one. Okay. Something is missing. Okay. I mean, because I wanted to give hint about the Cité Universitaire, because Cité Universitaire, it is not very far, and Cité Universitaire is a big campus. It's a university campus for the students from all over the world, and even Maison de l'Inde is there, Maison de l'Inde, Maison de Maroc, and Maison d'Allemagne. And many of us would have known about that structure, which is existing from 1925, I think. But because of the presence of the students, that Quartier d'Enfer Rochereau, it is well known for the students and is well connected with the Quartier Latin. And here I wanted to talk about another Russian who came from Russia, of course. Andrei Mekin. Andrei Mekin is also a Russian who came from I think from Crimea. He's not exactly. He's from Russia. Excuse me, I got a lacune. I think it's Crimea. I think I'm not so sure, but Andrei Mekin is anyhow. He seeked asylum in France. He seeked asylum in France, and in the beginning he was teaching in Sorbonne, and anyhow he couldn't get the nationality. But quand il a obtenu en 1995 le prix Goncourt et également le prix des lycées des Médicis, donc à ce moment-là, il est devenu très célèbre, et le gouvernement français lui a accepté comme un Français, il lui a donné la nationalité française, et il est devenu également le membre de l'Académie française très récemment, en 2016. Okay? Il est le Benjamin qui est rentré dans l'Académie française. You see how people, when they start from such a small, modest beginning, and later they get integrated into the society and they become part of, and the nation really recognize their effort, and even they can go to, very high position. And this La Vie, that the book of Andrei Mekin is La Vie d'un homme inconnu. It has got translated even in Tamil, but as I said, as I know, my professor from Pondicherry, Mr. Ramaya Krishnamurthy, translated the book into Tamil, and I'm very proud to, to present this book in this presentation, in this webinar. The slide is still there. I thought that I have skipped the slide by mistake. The Cité Universitaire that I told you about is that this is a big campus in the south of Paris, that is in the 14th arrondissement. As I said, it was it was not built, but there was a décret in 1925, and then pour regrouper un ensemble de résidences universitaires. Elle se situait dans le 14e arrondissement de Paris, near Gentilly, near the Port de Gentilly, near Port d'Orléans. And it's also well connected by the RERB, that is a commuter train, RERB. And there are, as I said, there are 40 houses, more than 40 houses. Now it is more than 60 houses, and more than 6,000, 7,000 students. And if you go there, don't hesitate to go and to see the Indian house, the Maison de l'Inde, and you can meet many other Indians as well as other nationalities. For the 15th arrondissement, I think I'm not running late. 15th arrondissement, it is written by Marie Lemalande. It is a very, very recent book. It has been published very recently this month. This month. In 2021 October, and it's something connected with the sociology. And the name of the book is Syndrome du Bâtard. It's not a bad word. It is Syndrome Bâtard. Especially when people, especially children got adapted, and when they become adults, they started questioning whether I am the son or the son of this man or this woman. And especially adapted children, they got this doubt when they become adult. And that the doubt is called the Syndrome du Bâtard. And this story is talking about that. If you want, you can, I've given also the link. Vous pouvez feuilleter ce livre, si vous voulez. Et également, ça c'est disponible dans les librairies. And 15th arrondissement, I chosen the book because it is completely about the doubt, and I got some doubts and lacunes with this 15th arrondissement, because entre la gratte-ciel de la Beaugrenelle et le parc Georges Brassens, I don't know exactly what's happening, because it's a posh area with big limousines going up and down, and many millionaires are living there. I never visited so much that place, so it is a doubt for me, and that's why I just lifted it as a doubt, the 15th arrondissement, without giving much detail. But only thing that I wanted to say that there is a park Georges Brassens that has been built very recently, and I never visited so far. Of course, you know who is Georges Brassens. I'll let you find it out. And there is also a Musée Bourdelle I never visited so far. I keep it on my list to be done. Let us move to 16th arrondissement. 16th arrondissement is a posh area, of course. We have to accept that. BCBG. It is not Bobo, it is BCBG. Voilà. And I want like to introduce Léon Mallet. Léon Mallet is, actually, he didn't write books, but he has written, he has created one detective. The detective is called Nestor Burma. And Nestor Burma is a funny detective. He's not very serious like James Bond. He's a little bit funny, and it is a very pleasant equipment to follow. There are cinema. It has been adapted into cinema and comic strip. It is a comic strip, and if you can get hold of one of these books, and it will be very funny to read it out, as well as to discover Paris, because in that comic strip you can see all over Paris. Nestor Burma in Montsouris, Nestor Burma Boulevard Haussmann. It is not Haussmann, they call it Haussmann, and like the Champs-Élysées. And if you see, if you can read these books, you can go around Paris through comic books. And for the 17th arrondissement, Etienne Émile Gaboriau. Of course, he's not a contemporary author, writer. He's, he specialized in the roman policier. Many people love roman policier. People say that roman policier is very light to read, but I'm not a fond of very reader of roman policier. But especially roman policier, they sell. Comme on dit, ça se vend comme des petits pains. because people, when they go on vacation, they just buy a roman policier and read it quickly just for, to pass time. And Locke-Arthur Lecoq influencé, because it's just why I wanted to say is that he was the influencer for Conan Doyle, who created Sherlock Holmes. Okay, that's why I just wanted to mention about this author, and I want to talk. And of course, he has written so many books. I mean, especially when they write roman policier, they write anything. And I want to take you to the place called Batignolles in the 17th arrondissement. As I said, there are so many books of Émile Gouborio. If you're a lover of roman policier, il y a une variété de choix. And the place Batignolles is a very quiet place. One would say that you are not in Paris, but you are in a village. C'était avec some petite église, Sainte-Marie. C'est petite. So it is like a small village. Just wanted to give you a clin d'œil about the 17th arrondissement. And let us go to the 18th arrondissement. 18th arrondissement, of course, I chosen Mr. Émile Zola, incontournable. L'incontournable, because he's very much interlaced with the 18th arrondissement. 18th arrondissement is one of the, it was one of the worst, popular, I would say popular, with all the métiers, plein de métiers maintenant, plupart des métiers qui sont disparus. Les ramoneurs, les aiguiseurs des couteaux et tout cela. Donc tous ces métiers-là qui sont disparus, and there were so many other industries and all this stuff. And good though it's somewhat connected with the poverty, of course, in the 19th century. And I chose an Assommoir, of course. If you have not read Assommoir, you have to absolutely read, or there are films you can watch on YouTube. It is absolutely saisissant. It is about the story of a couvreur. I mean, one was repairing the rooftops. He falls down and becomes invalid, and he was depending on the income of his wife. And it is a very, very sad story, and slowly he gets into alcoholism. He becomes an alcoholic, and he becomes jealous, and he doubts his wife. And finally, she picks up a blanchisserie. And finally she loses this blanchisserie in especially because of the jealousy of his husband. And both of them, they become alcoholic. That is a very sad story, and Émile Zola has written it with such a realism. Of course, you cannot doubt. He just pick up the people and then look into with a magnificent glass, and then he just depict them in his book. So there are so many other stories of Émile Zola. Of course, in your curriculum, you should have one or two of these books. La Curée, Le Ventre de Paris, Son Excellence Eugène Roujon, Paris, of course, Nana, Peau bouillie, Au bonheur des dames, L'heure, et tant d'autres. Of course, Émile Zola, c'est incontournable. And of course, Émile Zola is connected with the 18th arrondissement, I said. It is a little bit, as I said, c'est un quartier très animé, c'est Goutte d'Or, c'est un quartier très animé en journée, caractérisé par la présence de fortes populations immigrées d'origine africaine et d'autres. I mean, it is not anything, I don't want to hurt anybody's feeling, just to say that, of course, that is the reality. Of course, there is an exotic market and all this stuff. La rue de Jean et ses voisines sont souvent qualifiées de marché exotique, marché exotique. Le quartier est actuellement en rénovation par la mairie de Paris, qui procède à la destruction de nombreux immeubles en vétustes, à la construction de logements sociaux. But I don't know whether it is possible or not, but it is something connected with the prostitution, drug, and all this stuff. And they wanted to even create a place especially for the drug addicts, and it is becoming a big problem for the people who are living over there and for the authority and for the police, because how to say, I mean, the people are a little bit divided. I mean, some are, they say drugs cannot be avoided, drug market cannot be avoided. It has to be legalized, depenalized, so that it can becomes a drug should be sold in the open market, and then so that there will be control over that by the government. So there is a division. The law is still there. So the police is running after drug addicts and drug sellers. But the politicians are a little bit lenient. I don't know how it's going to end. And for the 19th arrondissement, it is La Villette I've chosen, and chosen the author Claude Isner. Claude Isner is not one person, but two persons. She and her sister, Liliane Korb, Liliane Korb and Laurence Korb. These two people, these two girls, they write this book under the name of Isner, Claude Isner. There is nothing. I don't know whose name they adopted for that to as the pen name. It is about the talisman and all the stuff. I will let you read the book. I wanted to say that about La Villette. I wanted to talk more about La Villette than about the author. I've chosen her because she's a contemporary author. I wanted to give you some exposure to the contemporary authors in this webinar, and they are from modest. They were they say they were singers, and now they have become they have become bouquinistes. They are bouquinistes on. What is bouquinist? The bouquinists, they are people who are selling books on the River Seine, on the quay of the River Seine. Both of them, Liliane and Laurence, they have become bouquinistes. Let us go and see La Villette. La Villette, in the beginning, it was a slaughterhouse for the slaughtering animals to feed Paris. Now everything got removed, and in that place we have got La Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie. And if you have children, you can take them, and they love that place, and you can spend with the family, with the children, the whole day, because there is a museum, sitting a scientific museum, and it was built with the idea of diffusion de la culture scientifique et technique. It was an initiative done by Valéry Giscard d'Estaing as a president. Is one of the before Mitterrand. He was a president, and is still alive. No, he's no more alive. He's not alive. And what to say? Yeah. It is built with the idea of notamment aux enfants et aux adolescents to bring them les connaissances scientifiques et techniques. And it's a nice place, and if you have children, you can take them and then spend the whole day there. And near that, there is also another place for the public, avec Philharmonie de Paris, the Conservatoire National Supérieur de la Musique, the music et de danse de Paris. It's a very nice place to spend a whole day and move around. There are cinema theaters and very good restaurants. And for the 20th arrondissement, I've chosen a small funny book written by Benjamin Malosset. It is written by Daniel Pennac, and the hero is Benjamin Malosset. Is after sale attendant in a big department store and a department store in Paris, and some bomb get blasted, not one or more than that. And it's a funny story. If you can find, you can read it later if you want. But I wanted to just talk about Belleville. I mean, about the 20th arrondissement and Daniel Pennac. Yeah, Daniel Pennac is born in Morocco. He's a Casablanca, but he's I mean, of course, he's not. He's from a well-to-do family. His father is a polytechnician, and he's become a colonel, and he was traveling all around the world. And his mother is a femme au foyer, of course. He's a home builder, and homemaker, and she's an autodidact. And I wanted to inform, I mean, this thing is really something, it touched me. That's why I wanted to spend a few minutes about Daniel Pennac. C'est son père qui lui a donné cette feu, he's a lover of lover of poems. And his father who gave him the love to read, and il dévore la bibliothèque familiale à l'école. Just how to say, reading books is something important, and especially if you have children, give them it's not an advice, it's just a suggestion. If you have children, give them the love to read books. Even nowadays, everything can be read on online or on on computer, on iPad, and all this stuff. But touching the book and reading it is something different. Touch, feel, and smell the book is something. Continue to offer books to your children so that they get that habit of, because it's something instinct. Touch, feel, and smell, something very, very instinctive for human. So continue to do that. Continue to have that relationship with the book. And 20th arrondissement is also known for la Père-Lachaise, le cimetière du Père-Lachaise. Here, le 20e arrondissement, où l'origine ambiance, I just wanted to say, où règne une ambiance décontractée et bohème, as I said, the bobo bohème, se trouve dans l'ancien cœur industriel de Paris. It is in the eastern side of Paris, orné d'œuvres d'art urbain. Et quartier tendance de Belleville comprend des restaurants chinois, bon marché, et une nouvelle vague de galeries d'art contemporain. Les jeunes au style branché fréquentent des bars Gruge et des salles de concert de Ménilmontant. Des nombreuses célébrités comme Oscar Wilde et Jim Morrison, they are lying down. Their cimetière is in Père-Lachaise, and it's a seat is touristic also. People, they love to go and visit that. You can see if you go, it's a place where you can visit, and even you can make a virtual visit with this link if you want. So I just want to stop here and say, on s'arrête là pour dire au revoir et merci aux écrivains qui nous ont fait rêver, penser, rire et parfois même dormir, n'est-ce pas? Thank you. And just before finishing, I want to thank all my friends, alumni of Madurai Kamaraj University. And thank you, Sudha, and thank you very much for having given me this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Jager. You are here. We haven't seen your face this morning, and you took all the liberty and to coordinate this webinar. And thank you, Madame Kipita Magdalene, who helped me to do la relecture. And Kiba Joseph, who did the technical assistance, and he gave me early this morning to arrange the computer and all the stuff and the link. And thank you, Google, and all those who continue to contribute in Wikipedia, because I took too many information from Wikipedia, especially. I owe you a lot. Thank you. Excuse me, I don't hear anything.
Monsieur, there's
No.
some questions on the screen, so you may just answer to this question.
Okay. Da Vinci Code walking tour of Paris was arranged covering all the sites covered by Da Vinci. Okay. I would like to know if any other work solicited only such prominence promenade in Paris. Oh la la, there are so many promenades, the Paris Sacré, Paris Intrus, there are so many things. If you want, I can find out all these places here, Sudha. I mean, there are so many places. Of course, I cannot give it them directly like that. Of course, I can find it and give it to you. Okay. Victor Hugo a bien été honoré, mais pourquoi il a été exilé? As I said, when he entered politics, because, Victor Hugo is a very perfectionist. He's a very perfectionist, even when he wanted, he helped her to rebuild Notre Dame de Paris, and when he wanted to rebuild Notre Dame de Paris, he has made how to rebuild it. He has got all the plans and everything, and Napoleon III, the emperor who gave the job to Viollet-le-Duc, is an engineer. Viollet-le-Duc, he took up the rebuilding project work, but Victor Hugo is such a perfectionist. He would say that you should not build like this. You should have to like this. Why you are putting this arc-bouton here? Why you are putting an opening here? Because Viollet-le-Duc didn't rebuild Notre Dame de Paris exactly as it was. He added up here and there. Even the cargouille in Notre Dame de Paris as his invention. It wasn't there. Even the steeple, the flèche, le clocher, it wasn't there. So Victor Hugo is somewhat, is so perfectionist. He not only he gives the idea, he wanted to also do it himself. Exactly what happened, he wanted to become when he was under the government of the first president, Napoleon III, he wanted to become the Minister de l'Éducation, but he was not given that opportunity. So he becomes the arch enemy of Napoleon III. He was insulting him openly. He was writing so many insulting, writings on Napoleon III. Of course, when you become a political enemy, you cannot live together. At that time they can exile. They cannot punish. Of course, even Napoleon III, he said that you are a monument, sir. I cannot punish you. I cannot put you in prison. Please get out of this country. And of course, Victor Hugo took that option because he said that he cannot. Somehow or other there will be some political vengeance will be taken. So he left the country. Y a-t-il des travaux liés au genre sociologie? Of course, des travaux, vous voulez dire des books? I think you say that il y a des travaux liés au genre sociologie. Of course, but I cannot give you like that because I'm not a historian, not a journalist. Of course, I can find it out if you want. Quel est le mystère des derniers codes de Da Vinci? As I said in the beginning, there was a society. Il y avait une association that believed that Merovingian, that Merovingian, Carolingien, that Merovingian will come to power one day or other. They'll take over all this republican power, and then they'll come back to the power as a king. That society, of course, that exists
Allô? Oui, est-ce que vous pouvez
Yes, monsieur. You may take over.
Oui. Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Tout d'abord, je voudrais remercier monsieur Alexis Kiteri pour sa belle présentation sur le sujet « Le Paris des écrivains ». Nous avons eu ainsi le privilège d'entendre par lui les différentes couleurs de Paris. Je tiens également à remercier monsieur Jacker et monsieur Keba pour tous leur aide. Avant de clôturer officiellement ce webinaire, j'adresse tous mes remerciements à Madame Soda, Monsieur Ranjit et mes autres collègues au département de français MPU pour l'organisation de ce webinaire. Je remercie aussi nos anciens étudiants et les collègues des autres universités. Je tiens également à remercier les participants pour leur participation active. Les discussions et les échanges ont été particulièrement fructueux et intéressants. Une fois encore, je tiens à vous remercier chaleureusement pour votre participation à ce webinaire. Merci beaucoup.